Good evening. This is CTV News for Wednesday, February 1st. I'm Patricia Vallone.
I'm Denise Douglas. So glad you could be with us this evening. A Rockville man caught up in the corruption scandal involving a former Prince George's County council member has his first appearance in court. Byron Scott has our story.
58-year-old Felix Ayala is charged with bribery and lying to investigators. Officials say he paid bribes to former Prince George's County lawmaker Will Campos in exchange for grant funding to his nonprofit organization, Caucus Salvadoreno Empresarial Incorporated. Ayala is alleged to have paid Campos about $20,000 in exchange for $25,000 in grants to his nonprofit. Officials say the two arranged to continue the scheme when Campos left council and went to serve in the General Assembly. They say in 2014, Ayala passed thousands of dollars to Campos at a Silver Spring restaurant, and that money was also passed to Campos at a meeting in D.C. in 2015. Campos has already pleaded guilty to taking bribes in exchange for county grant funds. Investigators say Ayala denied any wrongdoing in a meeting last month. After that alleged denial, investigators say they showed Ayala video of him making the bribery payments. Ayala has been released on his own recognizance. He's been ordered not to have any contact at all with Will Campos or anyone on Prince George's County Council. His next hearing, a preliminary hearing, is set for February 22nd. At the courthouse, Byron Scott, CTV News.
Ayala's attorney says his client will plead not guilty.
Governor Larry Hogan proposes a variety of new measures in his third State of the State address this afternoon, including legislation to address drug addiction, expand funding for charter schools, and an act that would allow Marylanders to deduct 100% of interest paid on student loans. He also announced incentives to bring jobs to Maryland.
We still have Marylanders who are struggling in parts of our state like Baltimore City, Western Maryland, and the Lower Eastern Shore, where unfortunately unemployment is still higher than it is in the rest of the state, which is why we must come together to enact the Maryland Jobs Initiative, an innovative bipartisan proposal which will provide incentives for the creation of thousands of jobs in the places that need them the most.
Hogan also addressed ethics reform, mentioning the recent FBI arrests at the Prince George's Liquor Board and lawmakers involved in a bribery scandal.
And let's remove the last vestiges of an archaic political patronage system which enabled criminal acts to take place. Let's finally clean up this mess by enacting the Liquor Board Reform Act.
Noticeably missing from Hogan's speech was any mention of President Trump's recent controversial executive actions. In the meantime, Maryland Democrats announced plans to introduce a series of bills yesterday in response to the number of executive orders coming out of the White House. The legislation responds to issues that the party says could affect state finances, defense, and health. Today, CTV asked Republican Delegate Skip Key his response to the Democrats' measures.
I think that's, ginning up certain animosities or fears that are unnecessary, and I think doing that misleads the public. Sure, there's uncertainty about what's going to go on in D.C., and there's a lot of reasons to watch it closely and work together to make sure that we're looking out for Maryland. But to, be an alarmist about that, I think, is not really being honest with Marylanders. Right now, deductibles and insurance plans have gone through the roof. Premiums have gone through the roof. There's a lot of problems with the ACA, but most of us believe there's a lot of good things in there too. So we need to collaboratively work together to fix some of the problems that we have. But for Congress and Trump to suddenly pull the rug out from everybody is irresponsible, and I really don't believe that that's what's going to happen.
Skip Key is currently the House Minority Leader.
Maryland Attorney General Brian Frosh is asking the Department of Homeland Security to explain what impact the Trump administration's immigration ban has on state residents. In a letter sent to a federal agency today, Frosh stated that the executive order, which was implemented last Saturday, has caused massive confusion, disappointment, and fear. The Attorney General is requesting that DHS provide information by February 6th on the number of lawful permanent residents, those with student, travel, or work visas, and participants of the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program who were detained by with Maryland addresses. Meantime, efforts are underway in Prince George's County to assist residents affected by the recent executive orders. District 2 Councilwoman Denny Tavares says her office is working with the group CASA to organize Know Your Rights forums in various communities. President Trump says strong borders and extreme vetting are necessary to keep the country safe and free. Tavares disagrees and says she does not think that the county should cooperate.
Resist, frankly, while we don't have to be categorized as a sanctuary city, we can take all the steps to act like a sanctuary city where we don't cooperate in terms of allowing ICE or anyone to come into the school system, and also not sharing information regarding immigration status when police stop individuals.
Are you at all concerned that by not implementing or following his executive orders, the county risks losing federal funding?
I frankly think that's unconstitutional and illegal. Monies can't be withheld from the county unless it's malfeasance on the issue at hand of where that money is coming from. To try to extend the purpose of those funds because we're not obedient, that's just strongman tactics, frankly.
Tavares also says local efforts include putting together a call list of lawyers who can advise people on their rights and distributing flyers in schools as a way to reach out to families and other people who need it. You are watching CTV News. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Patricia Vallone.